Okay, so let's just start with the numbers today, because honestly, I had to double check my screen when these scores came in. 49 to 10 and 55 to 14.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a weekend for nail biters, was it?
Not even close. And we were talking about week 8 of the 2033 season,
Hmm.
and we just witnessed two of the most absolute dismantling victories you will ever see in college football.
Oh, absolutely.
And the crazy part, these weren't top-tier teams beating up on some local directional school. These were heavyweight fights that turned into knockouts in the first round.
Right, that's the key distinction here. We aren't looking at a mismatched non-conference slate. We're looking at number 1, Arizona State routing number 4, USC,
Wow.
and number 6, Tulsa, completely crushing number 23, Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And while the box scores are fun to gawk at, and we will definitely gawk at them, our mission for this deep dive is to go a little deeper.
Right. We need to unpack how this happened.
Exactly. Because when you beat a top 25 team by 40 points, it's not just luck. It's a statement about system, preparation, and execution.
It really is. We're talking about the difference between a quote-unquote good football team and a championship-caliber machine. So if you're listening and trying to figure out who is actually for real this season, this is the deep dive for you.
For sure.
We've got the game summaries, the 2033 season stats, and all the historical context you need. So let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
We have to start at the top. The coronation.
Yeah.
The number 1 Arizona State Sun Devils versus the number 4 USC Trojans. Now, set the stage for us here, because there is some serious history between these two. Right?
Oh, massive history. You have to remember, Arizona State isn't just the current number 1. They are the reigning 2032 national champions.
Yep.
And who did they beat to win that title last year?
They beat USC.
Exactly. They beat USC in the title game 55 to 43.
What a game that was.
Right. Think about that score for a second. 55-43. That was a shootout. It was back and forth, fireworks everywhere. Neither defense could really get a stop. So coming into this Week 8 matchup in 2033, the narrative was all about revenge. USC is ranked number 4. They want payback. And I think everyone expected another high-scoring, close battle.
And instead, we got a 49-10 beatdown. I mean, calling it a beatdown almost feels polite.
Yeah.
It felt like a different sport out there.
It was clinical. It was so professional. And honestly, the score doesn't even tell the whole story. If you look at the big picture statistics, the disparity is just jaw-dropping. Arizona State outgained USC 609 yards to 277.
Wait, 609 to 277?
Yeah.
They more than doubled their yardage.
In a top 5 matchup.
That's insane.
That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Usually when you have number 1 versus number 4, the margins are razor thin. You're fighting for field position. You're fighting for a single turnover.
Right.
But here, ASU racked up 38 first downs compared to USC's 13.
38 first downs.
Yeah.
That is just suffocating.
That's the exact word, suffocating. When you have 38 first downs, you are controlling the clock, you are controlling the tempo, and you are totally demoralizing the other team.
You're just breaking their will.
Exactly. They didn't just win. They held the ball, they moved the chains, and they completely took the fight out of a very good USC team.
It really felt like watching a professional franchise play a college team. Let's talk about that ASU offense, because fireworks seems to be an understatement here.
Oh, for sure.
Their quarterback, D. Gokong, was just, I mean, efficient isn't the right word. He was surgical.
He really was. And what stands out to me isn't just the raw numbers, but the decision-making.
Right.
Gokong went 22 of 29 for 247 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, 247 yards isn't some crazy video game number in modern college football.
No, it's pretty standard.
But look at the incompletions. Only 7 incompletions all day against a top 4 defense. He wasn't forcing anything. He was just taking exactly what the defense gave him and executing perfectly.
And it shows the depth of this team, that they were able to put in P. Royer for mop-up duty, and he still threw for another 70 yards. It's like they just reloaded without missing a beat.
That's a sign of a genuinely healthy program. When the backups come in and the offensive machine just keeps humming along, you know the coaching staff has everyone fully prepared.
But for me, the star of the show, the absolute engine of this whole thing, was M. Harper at running back.
Oh, Harper was unstoppable.
26 carries, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, every single time he touched the ball, it felt like he was getting 6 or 7 yards minimum.
And that's what breaks a defense's spirit. We talked about those 38 first downs earlier.
Yeah.
This is exactly where they came from. When you know a team is going to run the ball and you load up the box to stop them and they still get 6 yards.
It's deflating.
It's psychologically damaging. You start to doubt your gap assignments. You start to play hesitant.
And then just when you cheat up to stop Harper, Gokong hits D. Jackson over the top.
Exactly. Pick your poison.
Right.
Jackson had 10 catches for 123 yards and 2 scores. Because the linebackers and safeties were so worried about Harper, Jackson was just finding soft spots in the coverage all afternoon.
So you've got Gokong dealing, Harper running wild, and Jackson catching everything. But here is where it gets really interesting for me.
Okay.
We mentioned the 2032 title game was a 55-43 shootout. ASU's offense has always been elite. But this defense, holding USC to just 10 points.
That is the championship difference right there.
Yeah.
In 2032, they won a shootout. In 2033, they are strangling teams. This is a much more complete team than the one that actually won the trophy last year.
Yeah.
USC scored all 10 of their points in the second quarter. Other than that, goose egg.
0 points in 3 quarters
Mm.
against the number 4 team in the nation.
And the stat that jumps off the page for me is the run defense. They held USC to 49 net rushing yards.
49.
49. That is a 2.3 yard average per carry. If you can make a team one-dimensional like that, you basically already won.
Because they have to throw.
Right, you force them into obvious passing situations on 3rd and long, and that allows your pass rush to just tee off.
And that one dimension, the passing game, didn't go so well for USC either.
Not at all. Their quarterback, M. Francisco, was under duress all day. Because the run game wasn't working, ASU didn't have to respect the play action at all. They just hunted.
Wow.
Francisco threw 2 interceptions, and he just couldn't ever get into a rhythm.
You have to give a ton of credit to our block on the ASU defense.
Oh,
10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. He seemed to be in the backfield before the ball was even handed off half the time.
He was an absolute menace. And those interceptions by Clybourne and Willis, the secondary, was locking things down because the front 7 did their job so well.
It really feels like the Sun Devils have separated themselves from the pack.
Yeah.
We always talk about pretenders and contenders in college football.
Yeah.
ASU is looking down at the field right now saying, catch us if you can.
They are operating with a level of efficiency that is, frankly, terrifying for the rest of the league. They aren't relying on lucky breaks. They aren't relying on the other team making mistakes, though they capitalize when they do. They are just better in every single phase than the 4th best team in the country. That is a massive gap.
It really is. Okay, so that's the coronation over the Pac-12.
Yeah.
But we need to head to the Midwest now because there was another huge statement made in Week 8,
Oh, yeah.
the Tulsa Golden Hurricane.
The Golden Hurricane. This
Yeah.
is such a fascinating story, maybe even more interesting than ASU in some ways, because it represents a real changing of the guard.
Yeah, they came in ranked number 6, playing number 23, Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Now, usually going on the road or playing a ranked rival like OSU, that's a trap game. That's where seasons go to die.
Especially for a team like Tulsa, which historically hasn't been a perennial powerhouse. But you have to look at the context here.
Right.
The whole Tulsa rise isn't an accident. It's entirely about Coach Todd Davis.
The architect of Tulane 2.0.
Exactly. Davis isn't just some guy. He built that legendary dynasty at Tulane, the 3-peat champion. He knows exactly how to build a program from the ground up. He left that absolute machine to rebuild Tulsa. And this game, this 55-14 destruction of Oklahoma State, this is the proof of concept. This is the moment where we look at them and say, okay, the rebuild is over. Tulsa is a monster.
55-14. And honestly, reading the summary, it says it was decided long before the 4th quarter.
Oh, absolutely. This was over by halftime.
Mm.
And it all starts with their quarterback, S. Gupta. We talked about Gokong being surgical for ASU. Gupta was, I don't even know the word, transcendent.
33 of 49, 363 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That is a literal video game stat line.
It really is. And notice the volume there, 49 attempts. He's throwing the ball all over the yard, but he's not making a single mistake.
Yeah.
That combination of high volume and high efficiency is incredibly rare.
And the chemistry he has with Parker Ashe is just special.
Yeah.
Ashe is listed as a tight end, but he moves like a receiver.
He's a total hybrid weapon. He hauled in 11 catches for 138 yards and 2 scores.
Wow.
He's too big for corners and too fast for linebackers. It creates a mismatch nightmare for defensive coordinators.
But again, like ASU, it wasn't just the air attack. They had perfect balance. D. Slaughter running the ball 130 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, plus a receiving touchdown.
That balance is key. But here's the expert insight I really want to highlight for you. This is the stat that explains the blowout more than anything else. Look at the play count.
Okay, let's look.
Tulsa ran 74 plays. Oklahoma State ran 47.
Wow. That's almost 30 more plays.
Tulsa basically doubled OSU's time of possession. When you run nearly 30 more plays than your opponent, you weren't just beating them on the scoreboard.
No, you're wearing them out.
You are physically and mentally exhausting them. By the third quarter, that Oklahoma State defense was gassed. Hands on hips, looking over at the sideline. That's how Coach Davis operates. He grinds you down until you break.
And break they did.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Cowboys side of this. Oklahoma State was ranked number 23. They aren't scrubs, but their offense was basically non-existent.
225 total yards for an entire game. That is abysmal. And when you look at the play count disparity we just mentioned, it makes total sense.
Yeah, they just couldn't stay on the field.
Exactly. 3 and out, 3 and out. That puts so much pressure on your defense to go back out there without a rest.
They tried the quarterback carousel, switching between our Bars and I, Nowak, but it didn't really seem to matter who was under center.
It never really does when you're getting dominated up front. Bars threw 2 picks, Nowak threw a little touchdown in garbage time, but neither of them could breathe against that Tulsa front.
Right.
And honestly, swapping QBs mid-game usually just signals panic.
And the rushing stats for OSU are just as bad as USC's were against ASU.
Worse, actually, in terms of impact. Niang led them with 36 yards. As a team, they had 52 total rushing yards.
52.
You cannot win football games with 50 yards on the ground. It makes you entirely predictable, and against a defense playing with this kind of confidence, predictable gets you killed.
And that goes right back to the Tulsa defense. We talk so much about Gupta and the offense, but this defense played with some serious intensity.
They call it bend, don't break, but in this game, it was break the opponent. M. Burks was everywhere, 11 tackles, 3 tackles for loss.
They're wrecking ball.
And the secondary just feasted on mistakes. O'Hart had a pick, A. Matlock had a pick and returned it 26 yards. They turned turnovers into points, and they never let OSU get an ounce of momentum.
So what does this all mean for the listener? We've got these 2 historic blowouts in the same week, Week 8, 2033. If we zoom out, what are we actually seeing here?
If we connect these 2 games, the parallel is really striking. You have ASU and Tulsa, both playing ranked opponents. Both offenses score 49 and 55 points, respectively. But the real story is the suffocation.
Right.
Both winners held their opponents to around 50 yards rushing. Both winners completely controlled the clock and the play count. ASU had 38 first downs. Tulsa had 32 first downs.
It's total domination. It's not just we have better players, it's we have a better system.
It is, and it completely changes the landscape of the season. Look at the rankings coming out of Week 8. Arizona State holds firm at number 1, sitting at 7-0. They are the standard bearer. They have the trophy from 2032, and honestly, they look better now than they did then.
Which is a genuinely scary thought for everyone else.
It is. But then you look at Tulsa. Depending on which poll snapshot you look at, they are number 5 or number 6, but firmly in that playoff conversation.
Absolutely.
Coach Davis has the pedigree. He's won it all before at Tulane. Now he has the squad at Tulsa to do it again.
And poor USC drops down to number 12, but hey, at least they lost to the number 1 team. It validates that ASU beat a legit squad.
Right. And Oklahoma State drops but stays in the conversation. But the gap between ASU and Tulsa and those other teams is looking like a canyon right now. There are good teams, and then there are the elite.
So, recap time. We saw 2 absolute clinics in efficiency today. Right. ASU proved the championship wasn't a fluke. They are a machine. Tulsa proved the rebuild is done. They belong at the big kids table.
Exactly. We are seeing peak performance from 2 programs at the absolute height of their powers.
Which brings me to the provocative thought I want to leave you with today.
All right, let's hear it.
We know Coach Todd Davis built a dynasty at Tulane, 3 straight titles. We know Vince Darby has built a pro franchise at ASU. With the way these 2 teams are playing right now, are we on a collision course?
Oh, it certainly feels that way. The schedule suggests it. The pure talent suggests it.
An ASU versus Tulsa national championship matchup. The standard bearer versus the challenger. And looking at these Week 8 stats, if that game happens, can anyone stop these 2 offenses? Or are we looking at a 60-55 final score?
Well, if they both bring defenses that can stop the run like they did this week, it might be the greatest matchup we've ever seen. But I suspect the defenses might have a lot more say in it than we think.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Make sure you keep an eye on the trenches in Week 9 because that's exactly where these games are being won. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
See you next time.